Hey guys, so today what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to do the Twisty the Clown makeup from American Horror Story, The Freak Show. He is super creepy, but I'm just like super infatuated with him. I think he's like the coolest thing. So we're going to try and recreate his crazy face. So he has a prosthetic mouthpiece that he wears that covers pretty much this whole area, but I'm gonna do that with makeup just because that doesn't exist anywhere, is my knowledge is. And then we're gonna do the rest of his creepy face. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to do a little bit of rigid collodion right here through the where his mouth is, because there's this little indentation where his mouth is pressing up against his skin. So we're gonna create that with a little bit of rigid collodion, and then we'll see where we go. I'm going to take a pencil. I'm going to use a little bit of Fascinating first because we can always darken it back up. And I'm going to sketch where he has his little face plates thing. So it's basically right on the outer corner of his nose. And then it's going to go back towards his ear. Basically like this. So we're gonna have like this kind of swooping pattern. All right, so now that we have that on, we're gonna go in with our rigid collodion. This guy, this one is from Krylon. We're gonna do a whole bunch of layers of this. So we're gonna start off by painting it up this line. Alright, so there's about 9 layers on each, and you can kind of see, maybe, that there's an indentation in the skin. And then also what we're going to do is, in that collodion, we're going to just put a little bit of black liner. Through the darkest parts. And then we're gonna do probably about 5 more through the front. Now that we have that on, what we're gonna do is we're just going to go in and pretty much do white clown paint from the forehead down. So I'm gonna zoom out for that. And I'm just using Ben Nye Clown White. Clown White. And this is just a super thick, super white cream foundation.
Alright, so this is going to be the part of the video what's going to be strange. It's going to go back and forth between me talking in the video and then a voiceover. So I am throwing some foundation through my eyebrows because you can't really see Twisty's eyebrows. You can see the idea of them, but they're not prominent and they're pretty much just covered in white face paint. And then we want to fill in pretty much the whole face. I left a little gap underneath my eye because I knew I was going to fill it in with black. So pretty much everything up until the collodion little line that we have.
Alright, so for his eyes, they're basically just all black, and then he has a little line up and down. So I'm just going to fill in my eyelid with a black eyeliner.
And with that black eyeliner, if you look closely in the pictures, he doesn't have it inside his waterline, probably just for dramatic effect. So just underneath the under eye and then on top of the eye.
We're gonna take just a 219 and we're going to take this and just smudge it all.
When you smudge that, make it pretty messy. If you think about the story behind the clown, he's basically, we don't know who he is, but he is a carny type person that's been living off the land. So it's not supposed to be pretty. So smudge away.
What we're going to do next is I'm just going to take a little bit of the Ben & I Rainbow palette and we're going to take the black color. And we're just going to take this little brush from the craft store. I don't even know what number it is. It's a 10. Whatever that means. It's just a flat little brush. And we're going to take that and we're going to create this little spike.
So doing this spike was actually a lot more difficult than I thought just because I have a super thick eyebrow in the way. If you wanted to, you could take like a glue stick and glue down your brow and that would make this part a lot easier. But if not, just take your time and more do a stamping motion to get that through the hair. And then you can do your normal lines on each side of the eyebrow.
And then a little tiny baby one underneath.
The baby one underneath, I definitely should have taken a different brush. I didn't get it to be as sharp as I wanted it to be, but after we got all of the blending done, as you watch, it's gonna look great.
Alright, so what I've done so far for the teeth is I've just kind of sketched the outline of them. He has huge teeth, so it's just kind of like, at the moment, kind of like little rectangles. And that's it. So we're just gonna keep going in.
So basically what we're doing is we're just going to fill in the rest of the face with the white clown paint. This is a small detail brush that I picked up from Michael's. It's just a little paintbrush. It just has a nice rounded tip so you can get that kind of point towards the top of the tooth where the root would be. And I just fill in the rest of the teeth. And now I'm taking Smolder eye pencil. And what this is this is the gum line that he has on his face mask. He has a tinier lip on top and then it goes all the way around the mouth and then it's a thicker lip on the bottom. So I'm just trying to sketch out the shape of the mouth that I've wanted. I'm just gonna go underneath the white teeth quite far because there's a gum line in there that we're gonna fill in with some red. And this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because you're gonna thicken it up with the black face paint. And then to give you a little bit more lift, kind of like a fake highlight above the mouth, I'm putting white face paint yet again with a small brush, and then we're going to go in with a full foundation brush, and we're going to thicken that up, and we're going to go underneath the jawline and connect the other side of the face. And just to speed up the process, I took the white face paint and filled in my neck. And now we're going to take the red from that bruise palette, and that's going to be our gum color. That is dark enough, but also red enough where it seems believable, especially for the color of the mask. I'm going to go in and separate the teeth so that way they look like they go down into the gum slightly. And then I'm just going to bring this color all the way up and around and fill in the top of the mouth as well. With this, take your time, and I probably could have used a smaller brush, but I liked this brush because you could use it on the side and fill up big spaces and also kind of carve out through the teeth as well. So what I've done is I take the black face paint and I'm going in and filling in the gum line and also the bottom lip area of the mask. And this is just with that same flat square craft brush. And then for the top of the mask, it looked like he had a little bit of blood pooling And then just to give it some extra definition, I put some black up there. Going in with that small little elf brush, I'm just detailing the teeth with the black. All of his teeth were basically circled in black, so I'm just leaving the tops of the teeth with the gum line and then kind of filling in the bottom line and then the separation between the teeth with the black. This process was very tedious and time consuming, but it was fun. It made the teeth stand out insanely well. I would definitely recommend taking your time with this step. Alright, so now what I did is I took a little bit of that red and mixed it with black and a tiny bit of white. And what I'm doing is I'm smudging it against the gums and in between the teeth to make it look a little bit brighter, a little bit more of a highlight color. This gave me just a little bit more definition and texture between the teeth. And it doesn't have to be perfect because he's a clown that's been out in the wilderness.
So for the clown, he has this little band of bloody skin at the top of his head. So to me it looks like his face has been kind of pulled away. So what we're gonna do is it basically goes from right about the ear line all the way up and over. Something like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, this is just the bruise wheel, and I'm gonna take the darkest burnt plum, and I'm gonna do that through here.
So after I put that through the outer corners, I ran a little bit of that through the center of the forehead, and that was just to give you some extra definition beneath the Ben Fresh scab. The Ben Fresh scab is, I think, really cool because it's quite buildable. The more layers you put on, the thicker the scab becomes. And with the face of Twisty, he has basically his face is like almost like pulled apart. So to give you that definition, I just layered and layered and layered the fake scab on the outer two corners and then right in the center, and then the rest of it I left pretty thin. So I'm just adding the product to my skin, building it up, and then as the product is there, I take a sponge and I stipple it and I push it around so it looks kind of messy, and I ended up enjoying that look a lot more than the perfect look because it's a serial killer clown. Like, it's not supposed to look pretty. So after I had that ish to where I wanted it to be, I'm now taking the black line, the black face paint, and lining the corners of my nose. In the pictures and in the videos, he has a very, very pronounced nose. Alright, so now what I'm doing is I'm taking a sponge and I'm pressing it into the face. This sponge is like a texture sponge, so it looks like all ripped apart. And I'm pushing all of the colors around. I add in just a tiny bit of gray, and then I mess up the makeup. I'm adding a little bit of blood and the gray into the neck color, so it kind of all seamlessly kind of talks to one another. And then, after all of that is said and done,
Alright guys, so that is everything. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. It's been a crazy experience doing this Halloween makeup. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it, and I will see all of you again next week. Alright, bye. That was magenta lip pencil, and now we're going to do Itchy and Scratchy from The Simpsons. And that's going to be the gloss.
Give it up.
Alright, so that is the finished look. Hopefully